He goes by, he cuts him off, he looks over, he slows down, and now they're both down! Hunter Lawrence left it all on the racetrack, but Jett Lawrence able to persevere. Congrats to the champions, Joe Shimoda, Jett Lawrence.
There you go, RV. Welcome to Title 24, everybody. This is the final recap Title 24 show of the 2025 SMX World Championship Series. Hell of a weekend in Vegas, for sure. We got a lot to unpack. Before we get going, we have a really special guest. Super stoked. You probably saw it on the socials when we were trying to round up some questions, but we got the man, the myth, the legend, Darren Lawrence joining us today. Before we bring him on, let's thank our sponsors, Dunlop, Boxo, United Motorsports, Quadlock, and Cardo. We appreciate you guys. And of course, the United Motorsports moment of the week has to be the HRC factory Honda team and the two world champs, SMX world champs, Joe Shimoda and Jett Lawrence, close by Hunter as well, just coming up a tad bit short there, I think, because he was sick. But nevertheless, dude, let's bring the man who created all this chaos and bring him in here. There's the man of the hour, the dude who created all of this chaos with Jett and Hunter. Well done. Congratulations, Dazzy. First and foremost, thanks for coming on today on this fine Monday. I'm sure you're still recovering for what was a fantastic weekend for you guys in Vegas. Yeah?
Yeah, it was. It was awesome. And just to clarify, I did not create on my own. Let's get that clear. Old MZ had a bit to do with that. She was the oven, you know?
I hear you. I hear you. It was a wild weekend for sure. Hey, before we were recording, as we were talking, and before RV and I asked you some questions, so we take on a lot of questions, and dude, our viewers and listeners were so pumped that you were coming on, and I'm looking like I'm reading over here through these questions, and there's some pretty good ones here.
Cool.
And shoot, yeah, there's some here that hell, I don't think I've even asked you. So let's burn through those real quick. And first one would be from Bryce _ Mahan 13. It says, do you ever think there's any tension building up between the Lawrence brothers? So between Jett and Hunter, is there any tension there?
I think it will grow because Hunter's, as we can see, is getting closer. You know, last year, I think Hunter was probably just, you know, happy to be there, you know, like far out, like I've done well, you know, like I'm pumped to be second. But you can see last night, Hunter actually had more of a percentage of thinking, damn, I nearly got him, you know. So I think only natural, that competitive side of Hunter. And that's why you could see Jett was divided. Jett was just like, man, I'm pumped, but I've crushed my bro. Like, you know, so I think you could see that in Jett's face. It was a really difficult night for the boys and for myself. It's like, you're happy, but you're also gutted because Hunter put everything on the line, plus being crook. He knew that first moto was the decider. It's like, damn it, you know. Second one, I think he was feeling just as crappy, but he found a better flow, I think, when I was watching. The first one, I think he just struggled to get that flow and so forth, you know.
Yeah. Second, all right, Corey.Pricey. What was the mood like for both Jett and Hunter after Vegas? Must be hard for them.
Yeah, he's spot on. You guys could see it on the TV. Like, it was just divided. It was just like they were both pumped, but still like, bummed. So no, it was a funny old mood for that. You know what it's like, boys, that first 10 minutes or so when you're in that competitive frame of mind. Then once you calm down, you can come back to a normal person. They were all good, but that first 10 minutes is pretty surreal.
Yeah. Hey, I love this next question. I think I know the answer, but I think that this would be super important. I think for a lot of our listeners to really pay attention to what Darren says on this next answer. But JP _ Pickett 16, with the boys now being superstars, media, etc., how do you keep them grounded?
Never forget where you come from. Never forget that they used to be so super pumped on a Wednesday after riding. We'd go get a Subway sandwich. So excited. And I bring it up with them. I'm like, remember when you'd be so happy, you know? And we'd be going across, you know this one, Ricky. We'd be going across the 405 after a day of Supercross on the mountain bikes. 45 minutes till dark. Johnny O's going, don't care. We're doing an hour. And the boys are like, oh, you know, and we're going across the 405, and I'd tell them, look down those cars, boys, because then the people in those cars are looking up at you going, oh, I wish I could be mountain biking. And you're up here whinging like a bitch.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
so
right.
It's seeing things from a different perspective, and I think that's what the people around the boys, that's what their job is, to make them understand, hey, boys, yeah, but you still go on a mountain bike trail out in the mountains, and then it just switches that mindset to go, yeah, this ain't so bad. You know?
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah. Hey, next one. It's Greg Johns. Would Dazzy ever write a book about their life?
I'll be writing it pretty slow because I'm pretty dumb. But I don't know. I think, yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good too. But I've said this before. When you talk about all your trials and tribulations through life, it's hard to wrap that in a package that doesn't sound like you're being a crybaby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because all those things happened that made life difficult and made things hard. So when you deliver it, you're trying to sound not like a poor me scenario. So I need someone smarter than me to wrap that in the right package, that every person in life has to go through peaks and valleys in life. That's normal, sport, so forth. So how do you wrap it all in a package that teaches a child or teaches another human being? And that's all you do it for. It's not for your own, oh, wow, look at me. It's to hopefully help someone that's going through that trial to go, oh, you know what? It's only for a period of time. There's an up. Yeah. It's going to come up, you know? So, it'd be good, but it'd have to be someone writing it smarter than I, that's for sure.
Hey, this next one, and then RV and I got some stuff that I want to ask. So this one, I've never asked you this, and hell, you may have told me this on a bike ride or just shooting the shit. But Sam Tamayo, how in the world did Darren produce world champion kids when he didn't even race a dirt bike? So I've never met Sam, and if I have, Sam, sorry in advance. Clearly, our second largest fan base on this show, just so you know, is from your home country. So that's awesome. So maybe Sam knows you. Have you ever ridden a dirt bike?
I did, but it was because I couldn't afford a drag car anymore because I had to sell it to buy our first house. And my mate Irby bought this busted arsehole YZ125. So I bought a IT 175 with the energy induction box with drum brakes, and we would go out in the bush on a Saturday morning, just in the bush in Australia, ride around, crash, laugh at each other, try and do hill climbs. You'd go through water crossings, the drum brakes would fill up, and you'd have no brakes for a while, and so it became just a fun family thing to do because that's all we could afford for a release, you know, on a Saturday morning. So yes, I did ride, and then of course we got into it, and we studied it, and we watched everything, and you got to have your elbows out, and you got to grip with your knees, and like anything for me, if I'm going to do something, I really want to know everything about it. How does that work? Why does that work? And I want to do it to the best of my ability. So once the Hunter started to do it as a parent, I just wanted him to be safe. So how to be safe? All right, mate, I need your elbows out. I need your fingers on the levers. I need you gripping right from the get-go. I need you standing. And he'd follow me around when I was mowing the lawn on a Pee-wee 50, and he had to go my speed. So he had to use throttle. And this is a 3-year-old. Like, no, you stay behind me and you balance. So you created little drills for fun to make him be safer because that's all you're cared about as a parent, is you want your kid to be safe, you know?
Yeah.
So I did ride, but I think to answer the question correctly, in everything in life, there's generally a theory to it, or there's a system. And I go back to making a McDonald's burger for the most simple example. No matter whether, and I only know this from MXGP, when you're in Indonesia, you actually look for a McDonald's store because you knew what you were going to get. Because everything else, you're like, crap, I could get sick from that. The Macca's is shitty food, but I know it's not going to make me sick. It's generally going to be okay. And even to that extent, that McDonald's burger has a system in Thailand and in Indonesia, in America and Australia. So in everything in life, as a tradesman, you know there's a system and there's in place. And I think it comes down to your mum, Ricky, you know.
Yeah.
She knew there's systems. There's certain things you got to be held accountable to, and you work it out, and then you see the result from it, you know. Yeah. So she would have, that's how she got so good. She would see the result in you and then go, okay, that produced a result. But there was other things she was doing that didn't produce a result, so she would change it. So I think it's just being coherent at the time and being invested you know, not being on these stupid things.
Yeah.
And just wanting your kids to be safe and improve and be the best they can be, you know.
Great answer. Yeah, that's Sam, fantastic fantastic question.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, dude, that's, you know, sometimes I feel like, RV, I don't know how you feel about this, but and Darren, like, I'm actually thankful that I didn't come up from a dirt bike racing family, and I'm glad that my parents didn't either, because my parents didn't ride, my dad didn't ride.
Yep.
And I think because of that, they had to learn on their own and become students of the sport instantly, because I started to really enjoy riding. And I look back on, like, not having a coach and not riding at a facility, and my parents really not knowing much, because it forced me to have to learn on my own. That way I had to make my own decisions on how to do things. And I really feel like it paid it forward when I got to the level of where Jett and Hunter is, in my opinion. It's crazy how that works, man.
No, I agree. You gonna say something, Bill?
What you got?
Nod your head. Come on, give us some.
Oh yeah, just listening, man. It's Dazzy. It's obviously, as you know, I have twin boys, and we're racing and riding, and it's just it's really interesting, you know, like to watch the boys come from Europe, and then, you know, I'm probably, you know, I'm dealing with two different complete human beings. I can chew on Gage a lot, and I don't have to do that with Brax. And sometimes I get Chris, my wife's like, dude, you give Gage more attention. I said, no, I don't give Gage more attention. I give him more ass chewing, which may seem like more attention. If I did that same thing to Brax, that poor kid would quit. He would have quit a long time ago. You know, and obviously you recognize the two difference in the boys, and Jett being who Jett is and Hunter being who Hunter is, and really managing that is, I mean, I'm dealing with it now, and it's a very hard thing to manage. How'd you do it?
Yeah, same thing. My wife was the one that taught me that, because I would chew Hunter, because Hunter can take a tongue lashing, and Hunter can take verbal counseling, like verbal instruction. Whereas I try and verbal instruct Jett, and Jett would go out there and overcompensate, and just like, I'm like, no, like, what's wrong with you? You know? And that's when I learned that Jett was a visual learner. It was like, you watch Hunter, just do that. Oh, that's easy. And he could do it. But it was my wife that taught me, you can't, they're different. I'm like, what do you mean they're different? They come out of the same factory. No, they're different.
It's crazy. It's funny that you say that. And you, RV, having twins, and it's crazy. You got two children come out at the same time. And like, for me, I have a daughter and a son, and like my daughter, it's just, she goes toe to toe. She'll go toe to toe with you, whereas my son is like, a little goes a long way with him. You have to be very, very gentle with your words. Whereas, again, my daughter, it's crazy how that dynamic is. And I think as a parent, once you learn that, that's when you really can start to make the positive impressions, I believe. That's interesting. I was always curious, RV, about that question you asked Dazzy. Dazzy, like, when you think about where you guys are at now, and I mean, like a lot of moto communities and a lot of moto families, that a lot of parents make sacrifices to get their parents in hopes to where Jett and Hunter is now. But as far as like your foundation, you've laid that foundation. Do you feel like now, like that hard work from the foundation is kind of behind you? What would you say the biggest challenge in managing the boys is right now? Is it from the team side, the inner circle, keeping the riffraff out, rather than just riding the motorcycle? What's the biggest challenge?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is keeping most of this out. That's for me, because you have so many uneducated keyboard warriors that want to share their opinion, and they have no clue. So for me, I think that's the biggest challenge for anyone in the world today. For me, this thing will only tell you your smile's not good enough, and you're not rich enough, and you're not strong enough. Just nothing but that. And there's a reason I've never listened to Title 24 in my life. I've never listened to any podcast in my life. I want to do things the way I do it, because I don't think I'm a very smart human being. I only have so many megabytes in my brain, so I want to keep my brain zoned in and focused on the direction we are going. on the information I get from firsthand, not from anything off the internet, because so much stuff on the internet today is so fake, so
It's
wrong.
toxic. It's toxic as toxic
Exactly.
as hell.
And it's captured to divide everything, because anything on there will divide, because they want the people to get on there and go, no, it's black, no, it's white. That's what makes that internet or that site their money. So for me, it's absolutely useless information entering into a brain that hasn't got many megabytes of space as it is. So I don't want to risk that information entering, so that I can stay focused on where we're going. You know, so for me, this thing in every family's household, forget sport. That thing is the biggest problem in our world today.
Yeah, I agree.
120%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Honestly,
agree. It's
dude, if I
literally
wasn't
poison.
in sport, RV, I think I told you this. If it wasn't required by sponsors and stuff, I don't know that I would have Instagram. Like straight up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough. It's totally changed the culture. Like you said, Dazzy, it creates a divide.
Yep.
You don't have to, you have direct access to any one of us just by clickbait, and you can, you DM whatever, you post whatever it is. You can steal the content. You can trim the content into the clickbait that you would like to see, or that's going to get the clicks, without telling the true story. Yeah, it really is. It's you know, obviously there's a lot of good that has come from some of it, you know, call it the business side of it. There's probably at this point, it's an 80-20 split. For me, it's 80% poison, 20% actually quality product.
So true. Yeah, I can FaceTime my 84-year-old dad in Australia. That's awesome. You know, you're right. There's positives there, but as a human race, we seem to flame and go too far the wrong way, because we're just a selfish sort of human being, you know, and it just it's became too much of a money thing for people just to put up what they want. And it's so for me, that's the thing for all our kids today, is trying to get them to cross-reference everything they see or hear nowadays. They have to fact check it themselves, then just go, oh yeah, I've seen it on the internet.
Yeah,
it's probably been clipped, kids, you know, it's probably not clipped.
I know. Hey, with everything going on at the farm, and I think, dude, you guys, some of the kids that have come down there have had breakout year. I mean, Hammaker, for example.
Yeah,
I thought he crushed it this year. Was gutted for him, obviously, at Salt Lake City, and then you know, nursing that shoulder injury. But outside of the boys, like, you have a massive impact on everybody out there. Do you get just as happy? And I just say, I'm just using Seth. Do you get as much satisfaction out of seeing like guys like that do well, knowing that you've influenced it?
Big time, because someone's son. You know, it's another kid, and you just want to see him do good. I get so pumped for young Drew. I'm waiting for young Drew. He's got the speed, but he just can't crack that start. He's just going through that normal kid thing where he's got to try and put the pieces together. And when he finally does it, you'll be like, yes, mate. You know, so yeah, you're right, Ricky. It's such fills your heart and your soul with joy, you know, that you've helped the young kid, and that's why we do it. It's such a good vibe at the farm. Dino Wilson comes out, you know, here and there, and different people, and he said, He said, man, the vibe here is so positive. Everyone just wants to help everyone.
And that's, you know, as you know, Dazzy, racing shit, man, 38 weeks a year. I mean, it's basically nonstop for the guys.
Yep.
You got to have a good midweek vibe throughout, you know, throughout 12 months. Really, it's a 12-month series. You know, sure, we got a couple weekends off here or there, but from an athlete standpoint, it's never off. You're either somehow you're recovering, or you're nursing an injury, or you're this, or you're that, or it's bike setup, or that. You know, you're always working for that next thing, or trying to fix something, or get yourself into the position that you need to be, is your body needs to be. So have that camaraderie, to have that good vibe during the week, so that the lows aren't too lows. You know, it's still fun during the week.
Yeah, 100%. And for a kid like Jett, especially being so young, Ricky, you would have been the same. Like being so young, how do we keep him having fun till he's 26, 27? You know, like that's the thing with Jett, is like, how do we keep him in the sport? Yeah. You know, it's.
I mean, that's, I think, what you guys are going to battle eventually, right? Like, 100%. I mean, he's clicked off everything there is to win at this point. and there's nothing he hasn't won. So how do you keep his brain stimulated enough to keep driving forward, you know, till he's 25, 26, 27, 20, 30 years old?
Yep. The challenges. That's the only way you'll keep Jett engaged. And that's why I need Hunter to do what Hunter's doing. You know?
Right. You need the Tomacs and the Sextons of the world to keep him occupied.
100%. I've said it many a times when you're like to the boys, if you're in a pub and there's a brawl on, if you don't want to run towards the brawl, this sport ain't for you. You got to want the fight. You know, that's the challenge. You know, we left Australia to be beaten. We left Europe to be beaten. We didn't even succeed in Europe, but we learned so much and we just ran out of money. We came to America, you know, but you have to want to be beat to succeed. You will not learn. And I've said it to the boys many times, when you holeshot and win, don't come back to me saying, oh yeah, I won. You put yourself in a better position at that day. I only want to see you beat someone when you come from behind, pal. You come behind, you pass them and you win. That's winning. Yeah. You holeshotting winning, you know, that's good, but it's you just put yourself in a better position. I'll make the same speed as you, but he got to start in sixth.
Right. Right. You know? Hey, we got Aaron, our producer, got some sound of Hunter that he really loved, and I think this comes from some of your parenting, Aaron. And we'll get you. I want to get your take on this, but Aaron, roll that tape of Hunter.
It's an interesting dynamic, and not a lot of people can understand it because a lot of my pride in how I coach Jett, or not coach him, but like try to set an example for him, come from when I was, you know, early in my career, really down in the dumps, and had I just quit and walked away, then maybe when he was faced with a bit of adversity and tough times, he could look at, you know, you always look up to someone, but if you're surrounded by, you know, strong men, then you also become a strong man. So that's kind of how I treat it. I always try and be the best version of myself for my family, for the kids of the next generation. But it's interesting because if he's slacking, like, I'll let him know he's slacking rather than like, oh, I might let him slack and maybe I'll capitalize on the weekend. Like, I want to go up against him at his best and beat him at his best. And at the same time, during the week, there's days where, you know, I'm whooping him or whatever, but it's different every day, you know, so iron sharpens iron.
He's pretty mature, old HJ. He's good. He's got a good head on his shoulders, you know. So he's, once again, Jett because of Hunter. Hunter never let Jett slide. Like, he held him so accountable. When I wasn't there to hold him accountable, Hunter for sure did. You know what older brother's like. No one's copped as many beatings as a younger brother. You know, but he has to. He's got to be held accountable, obviously, because he knows he's got a younger brother that's looking up for him, and because it's his blood, he's always going to try and hold that standard of, hey, Jett, this is how you should react to it, you know, which is a challenge for Hunter because Jett's still a 16-year-old kid. He's 22, but he's still just a kid, you know. So How does
Jett handle the criticism or the you know, from Hunter?
Yeah, good. Some days they blew. Like the other night at dinner, like, Hunter's like, honestly, I'm going to punch you in the face. Just like, what? Like, and just typical brother. Me and Hazy there going, oh my Lord, you pair of idiots. Yeah, they're just being brothers. But yeah, no, it's like any family. It's normal, you know. But generally, there's as you've seen last night on Saturday night, there's a huge amount of respect because Jett's seen every one of Hunter's downs and lows, you know, and him come back from it, and that for me is mental strength. You know, don't talk to me about mental strength when things are going good. When he's down the dumps, that's when you'll see the mental strength.
I agree with you, dude. Like, I think it's an oversight. RV, we haven't had this conversation, but Dazzy, you're exactly right. Like, it is a massive oversight because it's no secret that Jett, you know, he casts a pretty big shadow, and for Hunter to come back from the challenges that he had when he first came over here, dude, RV, you've raced at the elite level. You're a 4-time Supercross champ, one of the best guys to ever do it. It's tough to it is hard to come back from a low like that, dude.
And I think that's what you're seeing with that emotion with Jett at Parla. That was the first real decent injury for Jett. You know, like, holy crap, my knee won't work. What is wrong? So I think for him, that was his first down, really down, you know, and mentally having to come back and to succeed at Parlour. I think that was all that emotion of like just grit, you know.
It's tough, and they all go through it at different stages of their, call it, career or life or whatever, right? And some deal with it, some deal with more. Say Hunter's dealt with much more adversity than Jett. It seemed to click very quickly for Jett. You know, and like you said, that was his first major injury, where he was off the motorcycle for, you know, let's call it 3 months, and and dealing with that. And then at first, it's probably, which I just know how I was, mainly with, especially with my lower leg, was, you know, man, like, am I going to be able, is this thing going to be able to work again like the way it should? Should I just retire now? Should I just, you know, like, many things in the first, call it 2 weeks, run through your brain.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then you figure it out.
Jett's never taken any decent drugs. So the pills that Dr. Kramer gave Jett for the pain messed him up, because obviously his body's so clean. He was getting nervous sweats, and then he was all emotional. And it was the night that Hunter crashed in Tampa. Well, poor old Muley and Mike Pelletin got some funny text message. They were laughing because they half didn't make sense. And Jett was like, "Yeah, sorry boys, I wasn't good that night." Like, so he ended up having to just throw the painkillers away after surgery, because it just he was like, "What is wrong with me?" So he had to go through it even grittier with no painkillers, because it was just messing up his body.
Yeah, no, that stuff's nasty, man. I mean, we've heard all the stories inside of, you know, guys either getting hooked on them and things like that. I never did really well with them. I would probably same thing, about 2 or 3 days, just to get me over the hump of the severe pain. And after that, I tried to get off of them.
Yeah, 100%. Jett was the same as I got to get it.
I was the same way. I had like throwing up and everything. I couldn't, just whacked you out.
Yeah, no, dude.
So the rest of the season, I know you got Nations coming up in 2 weeks. Hey, speaking of, me and RV are doing the Jeremy McGrath Holeshot Challenge Saturday night at Nations. So are you up for like doing any coaching? Maybe I need to make a trip down to the compound the week of the Nations.
It'd be like putting the cart in front of the horse, mate. You'd go worse if I gave you any tips.
I can't have RV out doing me. The last time we raced, he kicked my ass. So I need some redemption.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. No starting devices. I hope we can use blocks. I sure as hell know you need them, RC. I need blocks.
If you can't use blocks, I'm out.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, come on.
So what are you'll be on the Triumph, the RV? You on the cow? No, you're on the Yamaha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No starting devices off the grate.
No.
Yeah. Old school style.
Hey, this is a great. What do you think about starts? So we always are debating on this show. You haven't watched it, so you won't know. So like RV and we think there's too many devices that are helping these guys get good starts. And like RV and I feel like there's a certain aspect of it that has taken away the art of starts. Manipulating the clutch, manipulating the body movement. Like, where are you at with starts and all the aids that it has these days?
I'm the same as you. I'd prefer to go back to none, because it goes back to the technique of the rider for sure. But I don't know where the greats come from. Was it because it gave more TV time because there weren't riders prepping the gate, so it gave the chance for TV to give interviews? I don't even know where it came from originally, to be honest. But I'm with you. I'm like, I like the dirt start. You know, you had to have a good clutch technique. You had to control it all. You know, but on the other hand, I love the ECU side of the meshes, because it makes it even harder, because now it's not as hard to jump out of the gate and get a start. So you have to even be more precise with everything. So I love the challenge of like, all right, we'll work this out and still be dominant, you know, or still have it, you know. So I'm both ways, because I love the challenge. But yeah, I watch our motorcycles today on how much, and you would understand this, Ricky, you went from 2-stroke to 4-stroke, same with you, Villo, on how much the 4-stroke shifts soil. Like they actually excavate the track and destroy it. Like you've seen our whoops, sometimes they're like a GNCC wood section. Yeah. Like the whoop is gone. And that blows my, like they're built more power, more traction, the tire technology, so on. So it's how the sport is changing, the weight of the motorcycle, the power of the motorcycle is it's just so different now. It's unreal to study it and work it out, you know.
Yeah. No, I think for me, like RC said, we debate about it, but we agree on it also. In most aspects is it makes practice more priority on practice, because if you go back to a dirt start, maybe at Phoenix Supercross there's only 4 good gates and the rest are hard pack.
Yep.
So I think that's a benefit, and I think also, like, just to the clutch release itself, you wouldn't have the whole 22 pack going into the gate just bar to bar, because a little bit of wheel spin, okay, now I'm behind, or I wheelied a little bit. So that from the technical side of it, I like obviously the lockdown device. I like that. The ECU side, okay, great. I still think the grate itself is the biggest thing that I see. If we took that away, I think we would see different outcomes in the first turn.
I agree. I totally agree.
100%. Dazzy, so rest of the season, you got MXoN coming up. Sorry, we went down a little rabbit hole there with the starts, but you got what the boys are doing, the OzX, right? What else?
Yes, last year for them, for Paris and OzX will be the last years for those 2 contracts. And then next year we're looking to have a year off, basically do nothing. I think it's just good for the longevity of the boys, and we have the new 27 bike, obviously new frame, new motor. We want to really dedicate some time to that. So I think it's just a good year to do nothing that year. Yeah. And just to keep them in, I don't know, keep them in the sport, but I think it's just good to have a balance. You know, you got to have a bit of shutdown time, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's just like, I look back and sometimes I don't like looking in the rear view very often, but sometimes I regret not doing the overseas races just to pack away a few more extra dollars. But I feel like I might have got burnt out earlier too if I had done those races.
Well, I'm the same as you. You're sort of trying to balance it, because you're like, oh, you're gonna not go and earn yourself 6 figures. Or the biggest thing you're scared of, becoming that person that 6 figures is not enough for you to go. You know what I mean? You don't want to go down that slope of like, we're earning more money than that, and become, like too big for it. So I think there's a balance to it, of like, it's still back in Australia. If someone says, hey, go do a weekend, you can earn 6 figures, you'd be like, yeah, what have I got to do? Who have I got to kill?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because that's where you're at then. So you sort of take a little bit of that with you to go, hey, that's great money. But then in the longevity of things, so we're just trying to, it's like, we're here for the first time. So anything you say, RC, I listen to, or Villo, I listen to it because you've been there and done it. We haven't. So it's great.
Yeah. How Dazzy, what do you think your odds are for MXoN?
Well,
obviously we know Hunter and Jett, phenomenal, and it was a phenomenal ride last year. Who's riding your 250?
Kyle Webster, same lad as last year. And he actually overrode a little last year. Like, I think he's better than what he did last year. I think a second year, being used to the stage, he did really good in the outdoors. Like, he was top 10 on that 450.
Yeah.
So good. So I'm really excited for Kyle to be a little more calm and actually ride how he rides. Gutted, obviously, for Changers and Haiden, because I really believe America was our biggest threat. France is strong. I don't think France are going to shit the bed like last year. They had just a bad year, the poor buggers, because don't care how good you are at Nations, you have to have some luck. You first, you haven't got the time to make it up, so there's a bit of lady luck. And last year, poor old France had a bad year. So I don't expect them to have another bad year. So I think they're strong. The Conan boys and
Belgium,
and Liam skiing, like, dude, those boys got the speed. If they have a bit of lady luck, get some good starts, they're all a threat, because you just, I think there's 20%, 15% of little lady luck at Nations, and then you've got to back it up,
I agree.
Do you like Motocross Nations? I mean, I know I did.
I do, because it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's not that same, and people talk about that's another. For my boys, they literally go there like a holiday, and then they just put the helmet on and go, let's go right, and they just go racing for fun.
And I'm sure you guys see a lot of old faces, old friends from the European side,
we do.
Probably the Australian side also.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no. So for us, it's just a little bit, and that's Paris and Australia the same. It's sort of like, it's just got a different mental pressure than a Supercross, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not for a championship.
It's a fun thing, So it's just more enjoyment. And Paris, we obviously try to bring as many of the team members as we can with their wives, and you build that camaraderie, you know, with the team, because we're blessed. We have such good people behind us, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I think America, France, Belgium, Holland, Glenn Coldenhoff, like he turns up at Nations and can rip
every time, every time.
year,
like a madman, you know. So you just it's like everything. You cannot discount any competitor. And Ricky, you know that as soon as you start to discount, you got to respect every one of them, and keep your head down.
And for some reason, Nations brings out like Glenn, for example, might not have had a great MXGP series, but he'll come out and lay it down, throw it down, and put himself up on the podium. And you're like, where was this all year?
Yeah. Goodyear Paulin for me was one of them.
Yeah,
he'd turn up at Nations and just be a weapon.
Yeah, you battle with them, but sometimes you like almost lap dudes. I'm so glad you said that, RV, because I always felt that. I'm like, who is this dude like all up my ass right now? And the guy is like barely gets top 10 at a regular MXGP, right? They ride better than they ever ride all year long.
They do. So you just can't go there with any prerequisite. You go there with your back against the wall and be prepared to go, all right, boys, let's lay down and just go at it. And the cards will fall where they fall.
That's right. That's right. Dazzy, you guys, we're going to get you out of here, but real quick, like, so you touched on it when you spoke to Will after the awards were given out and stuff, and you were praising America, all that. You guys, you're going to stay put here? You're going to move back to Oz when the boys are done? Like, what's your guys' plan?
We're staying here, mate. I know Americans don't understand it because they probably lived in America most of their lives, but we've had the blessing, or the non-blessing. We've lived Australia and Europe, England, Germany, Holland, Spain, and this is the best country in the world. I can guarantee you that. You know, I know gas prices are higher than they probably have been and so forth, but the freedom in here in America is unbelievable, and that's another thing we keep ourselves grounded. Like I tried to say in that short little interview, because you don't want to hold too many people up, but you're trying to say and show appreciation for actually having the opportunity here. Emma, myself, and Tate have now got our green cards and we're approved, so we're absolutely pumped to be a part. And we just want to contribute to the society. I think that's why Jett lost his shit at that dude at the podium yelling at him to go back to Australia. And Jett knows the history of what's going on in the world with wars and so forth. It's like, dude, cut that shit out. Really, really quick story. Unadilla 2 years ago, a drunk guy followed Cynthia in the crowd and was abusing Cynthia, followed Jett, abused Jett. So we were doing the team shoot for Jett winning the 450 title, and he's going past and he's flicking us off and going off. So I chased him down, and I was obviously going to deal with him. And then when I got to him, he was drunk and so I just gave him a lecture on, dude, you're out of line. This is not the place for that to happen, to abuse a woman and talk to a woman that way. He came back this year to Unadilla and stood out the front and he said, I want to thank you, Darren. He said, that changed my life. He said, I'm now a born-again Christian. I got my life back on the rails and I was out of line. And I want to thank you for it. So that's not always going to happen. But as a man in this world that we're growing up in, and what are we going to leave for our children? It's up to us as parents to raise men that find the right time to maybe talk to someone and say, dude, that's not called for here. About. You know, so it's a balance with what Jett did. Yes, you just ignore them, or do you trust your gut instinct on that moment to go, you know what? No, you're out of line, champ. It's not called for here. You know, so it's.
You're a good man. That was an incredible story. And if you change that one guy, and it's not always going to work like you said, but changing that one person might manifest to others. Great. Good on you.
Hopefully, dude. I was so pumped for him. I'm like, good on you, mate. You changed your life around. I'm like so awesome. Good. I just took so much respect for him straight away. Just like, well done, you know. Like
that's right.
It was.
That's
awesome.
right. Well, mate, congratulations on everything. We appreciate you coming on, chopping it up with RV and I. You've done a great job raising those boys as well, keeping Tate in line. I know he's my favorite of the two boys of your three boys.
Everybody's favorite, Lawrence. Yep.
right. So enjoy it. Me and RV will see you in the Nations in a couple of weeks, mate. All right. You can be the judge on this. You can be the judge on the starts.
I'm enjoying it. I actually love that thing that Thomas did. I thought that was unreal fun, for them to see that.
Yeah.
It's good. So, no, good on you for doing it. Just adds extra entertainment. Seeing you two legends back out there, I think it's sick to put yourself out there for people on the internet to blow, just talk. It's like, what idiots. Good on you. So, no,
I love it.
We appreciate you pair as well. Don't worry, as a family, we love it when you have a bit of advice and different things. We really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dazzy.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother.
All righty, guys. I'm going to work in the shed.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
See you, boys.
Yeah. That was a hell of a United Motorsports moment of the week, dude. Huh?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah, appreciate that. Head over to unitedmotorsports.com/title24, enter your email and get a $15 credit towards your first order. Then you will be automatically entered into the weekly drawing for a $50 credit on your next order. Let's switch gears, brother.
Okay.
Where do we go from here? So should we just go ahead and get into it?
Yeah, let's go right down the list. Or let's go right. Well, I think we go right. Let's praise Joe, phenomenal, SMX 3 for the world championship, man. I don't want to use the word surprised me, but I think he turned the next page. He went to the next page in that book in his book, the consistency, but also the speed. And then obviously we all saw what happened in Moto 2 Saturday night. The composure that Joe held was, I think, a huge turning point for Joe.
Yeah, I was so impressed, and I talked about it on the broadcast. Going into the situation, he knew what was at stake. He knew that he had a target on his back. He was in the driver's seat for sure, but the vulnerability level was super high. Haiden has a ton of speed. You'd have to be wondering, what was going to be Hayden's strategy. We saw what the strategy was, but I was impressed how Joe managed all of that. He executed in those certain situations. He got the good start and basically checked out, dude. He was untouchable. I wasn't expecting him to just get the whole shot and roll out. I thought Deegs was going to catch him.
Yeah. And you don't know. I personally feel like, Joe isn't, number one, he doesn't ride, call it dirty, or even get up in a lot of people's grill on the track. Right. So for him to deal with all those different shots and angles and below the belt, maybe moves that Haiden was putting on and then Joe to hold his composure. And that's no easy thing. I had to deal with it with Jason Lawrence at one time. We saw what happened with Jason Lawrence and Dungey back in the day. It can really infiltrate your headspace when you have somebody in that position doing that to you. And I think that's what's most impressive for me is Joe holding his composure together for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was it's just so hard to do that. And to be able to pull the whole shot and check out, it was impressive. I mean, the guy's got ice in his veins, and we're going to talk about this stuff. But another thing that was so impressive, and I'm jumping around here, dude, the second moto, there was multiple times that I probably would have just checked up and not have just passed Haiden and put myself in that position. But dude, he never flinched, bro. He's like, all right, you're playing these games. The hell with it. I'm going to get in front of you and just take the hits. It blew my mind that he did that. But I respected how eager he was and how motivated he was to just take it head on, grab the bull by the horns and just say, shoot your shot, brother. And let's see what you have. Right?
Yeah. Multiples, man. Multiple shots he took. Multiple blows.
Yeah. I mean, were you surprised that he did that and how he just took it head on in the second moto?
I am very surprised. I think being in that headspace and knowing the situation, number one, with what Haiden was throwing at him, and then early before they kind of bridged, before it had a little bit of a gap, for a while there, the point situation was flip-flopping, right? Seth was in a position to win the world championship. Then it was Joe. Haiden was the one that was obviously playing that playing the wild card in the mix there because of the point situation coming in from last weekend. It was Seth's race. It was Joe's race. It was Seth's race, Joe's race. So, you know, he couldn't lay up too early. He couldn't lay up too much because before he knew it, Seth would have been all over him. And then you would have had a third person in the mix instead of just dealing with Haiden. So man, I would say very tough situation for any one of us to be in and have to deal with.
Yep. For the Dunlop debate, and dude, did you know that for the best of my knowledge that Hunter and Jett were running the scoop tire?
I did see that. A lot of sand section, you know, like it looked like the dirt. Actually, to be honest, the dirt quality from what I saw, just obviously from the broadcast, it didn't look like typical Vegas. You could see a couple areas where the hard pack was coming through, like Vegas would maybe get, you know, years ago. But all in all, pretty good. The dirt quality. I thought the track was extremely fast in some areas, especially where Chase had went down. Not sure if there's a way we can, just a different track design, obviously, like for next year, maybe to slow that down. You know, just, I thought that's what I was looking at from I guess a safety standpoint, just the speeds in some areas.
Yeah, it was fast. As far as the Dunlop debate goes and breaking down, what, you know, Hayden's approach and what the game plan needed to be. Do you feel like it was more tactics, or was it tactical, or was it more antics? Like we have a sequenced video that Aaron put together. So here's basically how it goes. The second moto talking about he does get a better start than Joe, cuts him off. Here's the second one where Joe is behind him. He's slowing up and letting basically this is where Joe really takes the bull by the horns and gets in front of it. Like where were you at with all of this stuff?
You know, RC, we discussed this, we debated this last week after the second round of SMX and
what you're watching right now. What do you think?
Yeah, and what I'm watching right now is I really think Antics. I think this is the repercussions of Hayden's moves over the weekend at Vegas. I think he, you know, obviously going to have his Hayden fans be all for it. But I think it was not impressed. I was not impressed at all. We had talked about it. You have one or two chances to be able to do it. Off the gate is one of them. He did do that, but obviously didn't get exactly what he wanted. Right there, he chops Joe off. But Joe was smart, knew it was coming. You know, and then racing behind you for that many laps. Obviously, we do know that he was docked 5 points, championship points. But I think I'll say it now. I think it was a chicken shit way of trying to win a championship. I wasn't a fan of it by no means.
So you think it was, yes, it was too far. Okay. Now we'll debate this. Like what else do you do? Like, I mean, what would have been the other approach?
Well, I think
here, but like what
big picture, RC, big picture, in my opinion, is he had his 1 to 2 chances, right? And now it becomes a reputation. Like I believe you're kind of hurting your reputation when you decide and you make that decision to race behind you for that long. Also, he has, obviously we lost Chase for MXoN. You know, we saw his crash, but a stupid move on Hayden's part, because you know, won't be participating in MXoN, which I think could have very well, losing this championship to Joe straight up, you know, with just the way the points worked out. But then going to MXoN and Team USA winning, I think that would have been a much bigger catapult in his career, or in moving forward into the 450 class, than doing what he did now. And now he jeopardized MXoN. He probably, more than likely, I mean, it's only a week and a half out, you know, broken collarbone. The odds of him racing, I think 0 chance. So I think all in all, as a whole, it wasn't the smartest decision, in my opinion.
When do you think that he should have pulled the plug on the Antics? Do you think he takes a couple
Honestly,
shots.
I think RC, he did it off the gate, right? And then he did it going into, I think, the second turn, ran Joe high. And at that point, he was already in front of Joe, but he let Joe back by. I think that's your chance. I think he should have went out and smashed everybody in that second moto and killed everybody by 20 or 30 seconds and made his statement that way versus doing this. Because for me, this just looks very unprofessional. And yeah, just not the smartest move in my opinion for his career move.
And just basically, going out there making the statement, you're foregoing the championship at that point, and you're just going on values and who you are, right?
Yep, I believe so. I mean, I've, as we just talked social media and the whole 9 yards, I've seen comments, read comments, keyboard warriors up and down, through and through. And there's a lot of validity to what some of these fans are talking about, I just don't think it was the smartest move. And maybe it was, emotions got involved. Maybe it was just the race, the way it was turning out. It got away from him. That's happened to a lot of us in certain scenarios where things just the throttle starts to stick and there's no coming back, and he got wrapped up in it. But no matter how you slice it and how you look at it, I mean, I've been around the sport for many, many years, along with URC. I didn't like the way that went down.
Yeah, I will say this, and I guess you can take it like how you want, if I'm defending him or not. To win the championship, he had to do something.
Yep.
Right. And he had to do something. And I just, like, looking back on it, if I was in that situation, I was ready for it in 05, pardon me, 06. And, I don't know. It's hard for me to, like, reflect on it. Like, how many attempts would I have made? I'd like to think that my first attempt, I would have executed it and I wouldn't have had to slow down and race behind me, but it never got to that point because my option one worked out the way that I had hoped that it was going to work out, to win that Supercross championship. So, again, and I talked about it on RDL. We talked about it here on the podcast, and we talked about strategy and what that looked like. And he had to do something to Joe to try to win the championship. So maybe he went overboard. It is a bummer that he hurt himself. Luckily, Joe didn't get hurt. But yeah, now, like, MXoN is gone. And
there's a lot of repercussions from it.
I think, and the bigger picture is, like you talked about it, RV. The bigger picture is, this is where like how he is towards his competitors, it caught up with them. It caught up with them at St. Louis. And that's the bigger picture of it all. And we broke down what happened this weekend enough. And, like, this is, it's come to it's come to a point. And I think you have to change your strategy, because in the 450 class, you've talked about it multiple times. Like, it's even going to become more apparent, and it's going to be that much harder for him if he doesn't have, you don't even have to have friends, but you can't have people
enemies
against you.
Yep, right. Exactly.
If I was coaching him, that's what I would be saying. And I understand, like, the marketing part of it and everything, but if I was coaching him, like, dude, you've got to start being a bit nicer and being mindful of when you have to cash in a favor or two.
And I think, RC, you dealt with it in your career, where coming in as the underdog fans, and then you got booed pretty hard for a few years, and then you readjusted, you looked yourself in the mirror, I believe, and then
I did
came back out, right, and redeveloped all of, made more fans than you already had. Just changed your tune a little bit, and I think that's where Hayden's at, in my personal opinion, is. Yeah. Yes, you've been in the sport long enough. In my eyes, you're not really a kid anymore. Like, you're gonna move to the 450 class. You need to be more strategic. about it and the way you come across. You can put those little jabs here and there to still get your point across, but there's a way you can do it that's a tasteful way also.
Yeah, 100%. And two, like not winning Moto 1, his back was really against the wall. I was surprised that he messed with Levi as long as he did. I would have never messed with Levi because Levi was out of it. Obviously, he's pissed from last week. We're watching the replay with it, but he screws around with Levi too much. That was wasted time and effort, in my opinion. Like, he had nothing to gain, nothing to lose. He can take care of him, and Levi can sort their grievances out at a later date. But that was like time wasted.
I agree.
Right. Like, so I was actually surprised that he was messing with Levi there. I thought he was just going to pass him and go on and get to Hammaker. And then, but anyhow, long story short, I was surprised about that. But again, it just goes to the bigger picture, strategy and going to the premier class next year. You have to have some people in your back pocket to not be against you. At least it was wild. It was definitely wild. So have you ever had any beef, or have you ever been in a situation like that?
Never to that extent. No. I mean, like I said, I mentioned me and Jason Lawrence at the time. I was Pro Circuit Kawasaki. He was Yamaha Troy. Dealt with, call it similar things as that. Everybody knows there's like the iconic shot of Hangtown where I wheelied my bike up into his, him and his face and his helmet and things like that. Like, that making a statement of like, hey, this shit's got to stop type thing. But no, never to the extent of a 20-minute, like all out brawl where it was, involved in so much racing behind, you brought it up, I think, pre of this show, RC, like warning flags. Like, I think that could be a massive, and I don't think it gets used very often, but right. I think in this scenario right here would have been much needed in this current scenario of a warning flag. You said F1 has it. You said
MotoGP. I saw this from DV, David Villman. DV. Yep. I think you listened to RV and I's show. And the only reason I say that because he commented on a topic that we were talking about that he agreed with, and he did say I thought it was cool. Like, AMA have a warning flag and you wave it in the race. You're giving the rider the warning, whatever rider you feel necessary to give the warning to, and if they don't abide by that, then they throw out the black flag and then you have to pull off the track. So I actually like that. I could think it could be effective, especially if you have a rider that's doing something multiple times, for sure.
Exactly. And that, that was DV like, I think nailed the nail right on the head with that. Being very careful on how that is used, not being abused. I think that, we've had, what happened to, was it Osborne and Savacci? That was a one-time pass. That was one time in the turn. It was for a championship. Yes. But what was the difference is Osborne was racing forward through the pack and Haiden was racing behind him the entire time, trying to affect the outcome of it. And personally, just from a racer standpoint, was it entertaining? I guess you could say it was entertaining, but then on the back flip side of it, I wouldn't want to race with somebody like that.
No,
I think RC having enemies is a massive problem. You don't need to be friends, but having all out enemies in a situation like what we saw, and why Haiden is in the situation that he was in is because of the beef that, say, him and Levi had early on and whatever else. And just call it running his mouth, Levi didn't give him an inch, and
you heard what Joe he said to Joe. Dude. Did you like that? What he said to Joe before the moto, and then what Joe said in the press conference?
I died laughing when Joe was at the presser after the race.
No, he said it was actually like not bad. Like, he said, "You're never gonna know what's about to come." And I said, I don't speak English.
I don't speak English. I loved, and Joe's facial expression was so awesome too when he did it. Like, I don't see Joe do that very often, like that, you know, kind of smart ass little bit of like that. It was hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah, it was, dude. It was priceless. It's cool to see, like, it's cool to see Joe like have fun with it. And now listen, he's on the good side of it. He probably wouldn't have been as playful had he been on the opposite side of it. But yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot. Again, and this is it just the bigger picture and how, you know, how he goes about things, and it's aggressive. He don't give a damn, and at the same time he has fun with it. But you know, we've said it a litany of times here, is like you can't have enemies, and you rather have people that aren't against you, and that's the bigger thing. And then if you're gonna do that, like I said, you got to make that first shot count. And if I mean, and he didn't, you know, so
I agree.
Then it was it's just kind of like we're in the booth. I'm like, like, you know, it was just quiet. We were just sitting there watching, you know. It was just, yeah, got to make the first shot count. And then after that, like you said, just go on and just wax that ass and, you know, show everybody you're the best. And, you know, had you not gotten taken out for built up frustration from other riders, and you'd probably be the SMX world champ.
And I think that would have been a bigger statement than where he sits currently today, busted up and no MXoN.
Yeah. So you had a little bit of beef, but so I was digging through some photos last night, and you know, with all these fines and you know, riders getting docked and what's dirty, what isn't dirty, and so pull this picture up of me and Windham. So, okay,
Look at your
give you some context here. All right, this was just for a race win. Okay, there was no championship on the line, nothing like that. I didn't get fined. I didn't get warned. I didn't get put on probation, probably because I crashed 2 laps later. I went to Indonesia in the whoops. But I mean, it's a different time, you know, like
it is a different time, RC. And I think just like we'll just start from the side, the speeds involved from current motorcycles today versus your KX.
Proud of that. I'm not proud of that move, but I was
your
young,
KX 125.
Didn't give a damn, and like, God bless him. Brian Swink told me before the race, he's like, dude, you got to knock that dude off the track as hard as you can if you want to win this race, and this is how you need to do it. And I don't know how he didn't crash, and I don't know how I didn't crash. And I had one motive, and that was to go in there and knock him down. And yeah, dude, I mean, I teed him up, and the dude, he stayed up and kicked my tail that night.
And like you said, 2 laps later, you went to Indonesia.
Yeah, oh yeah, went off the track crying, and yeah.
Hey, karma's always a bitch, RC.
It is. It got me 2 laps later, crying, riding off the track, tail between my legs. Yeah, I got an ego reducer that night. But yeah, that is. But the speeds, like, yeah, go ahead. Like the speeds are different, and
you know, I think there's that is why, and I think that's good having as you know, Ezra Lusk involved, Yogi involved with AMA, because he's been around it for so long. I heard him. I think it was on a podcast of some sort a few weeks ago, but you know, him working with Pulp. Yep, him working with AMA from a rider standpoint, and a guy that's been around the sport for a very long time. There, you know, let's face it, we do bang bars, and there's things that are totally okay, and then there's things that are not. So being able to not abuse that or make the right call is honestly just the biggest thing. And I think you know, there's, like I said, there's been multiple passes that have been made and put on and takeouts that are legit, and there's been a pile of them that haven't been legit, and I think those need to be dissected through very quickly, so that we're not all waiting to find out what happens, or you do it the next day or whatever the case may be. And AMA's been better about that. They've been making calls very, very promptly. But I think that just the times are a little bit different, and they have to be looked at. Every situation has to be looked at. You know, so that's just kind of my opinion. So
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's tough. Like they are working hard to, get some continuity and be consistent, but there are certain situations that are different, and what's on the line, and, what do they deem dangerous? What do they not? When I go back to like I guess Denver, and what Haiden did to Davies was how he got on probation. We talked about it. I don't agree with that. I think that the angle, it was they nudged. It was nothing like what happened at St. Louis. And anyhow, long story short, let's talk about the rest of the field, if you will. Quick recap on the 250 and 450. I was in the booth, so no one wants to hear what the hell I had to say about the rest of the pack. Is there any notables you want to talk about?
I thought Eli rode really well. For a second there, I thought Eli was, I don't know about gonna win, but like he rode a phenomenal race. I think it's his last race on the Yamaha. Oh, I guess other than MXoN, right? He'll be changing teams. I thought he went out on a high. I thought it was a good finish for Eli there over at the Blue Crew Yamaha Star Racing team. To finish off strong. Didn't obviously get the win like he would have liked, but rode well. Obviously, I don't think the broadcast caught it, but it's been circling around Instagram and things like that. But Chase Sexton, not the night that he wanted, I think, just from a racing standpoint. And then obviously here's a clip of him going down insanely high speed section. Here's the slow-mo part. Like, these guys are, I'm just going to say it, they're just animals, and I know RC, you've done it. You've crashed big time. I've done the same thing. Like, the strength that these athletes have, or racers have, is pretty incredible. We've all dealt with it at some level.
Dude, I was talking when we were leaving the airport yesterday, and we're walking down to our cars. I was talking to JH about it, and when I saw that clip from Chase, and it's gnarly. I mean, dude, Jordan Smith, this weekend, Davies in practice.
Yeah.
And the impact that those guys took with this because of the speeds is so gnarly these days. Dude.
Yeah, it is. It sucks. It's part of the sport. We all know that. But I also think that I kind of brought it up to Kyle this morning when we were in the garage working on bikes earlier before the show. And I said, the difference is like outdoors is pretty straightforward, in my opinion. Yes, it's high speed, but it's pretty straightforward. Supercross, same thing. Yes. Each one of those different track styles or scenarios, Supercross versus motocross, you have, it's pretty straightforward. Yes. Major things can happen, but I think looking at the SMX track styles where there's a lot of chicanes, zero runoff, K-rails on the side of the track, I think that maybe we need to adjust the speedway tracks a little bit with the amount of speed and how the tracks are developing. It's like that hybrid, like we've all talked about it, kind of Supercross. They're all running Supercross suspension, but on an outdoor style track. Maybe we need to rethink that just a little bit when it comes to, the speedway races.
Yeah, the speeds are fast. The speeds are fast, and too fast at times. I do agree that, and I've always said that. Just got to figure out a way. You can still have those style of tracks, but slowing them down at some stage would be good. Whether you put like wall jumps in where they have to slow up, right? Something like that. I think that's
or just making straightaways not as long. In certain scenarios, certain spots of the track.
Yeah.
But I know we all want good racing, and we don't want it to be one line either. So like, I'm not sitting over here telling, the track crew how to do their business, because that's above my pay grade also. But, we all have opinions, and ideas, and as ex-racers too, it's tough to see when a guy goes down like that, but it's kind of possible.
Hey, you're right about to Eli, dude. He rode great. I don't know,
Mm.
I don't know what else he could have changed. I mean, he looked great. It's just Jett and Hunter are riding great, but Jett is just that gnarly. And I don't care. Anyone can say what they want, but dude, he is a bad dude. Just like the pass, like James and I were talking on the broadcast, RV, like when he passed ET in the same spot, both motos, like it's so hard to defend number one, a pass like that, especially when that rider is so talented. It's like, it's almost impossible. And it's not to say that he can't, but that's just, you get a dose of how good Jett is. And again, I don't know how I could have advised. Do you know how you could have advised Eli to do any better than what he did? I thought he rode great.
Yeah. I mean, he rode phenomenal. I just think that Jett especially, but Hunter also coming into his own. They're kind of on a different level right now. And a completely different stages of their careers. Eli, yes, he's going to race another year or another 2 years, but he's also making a manufacturer change, which is, I think is probably going to be one of the more tougher things he's dealt with in his career at this point in time, with, being, call it older, been racing for a very long time, going to a completely different motorcycle chassis design material. So who knows? I mean, yeah, we can sit over here and speculate and say, man, it could be better, it could be worse. I just think just just not even from the motorcycle side of it, just learning the new team, and learning the bike side of it in the short window that he has, and then thinking that you're going to go out there and compete with Jett. I think that's asking a lot.
I'm going to go ahead and say it before we get to the quad lot question of the week, RV, but I'm actually bummed that Eli is not going to be on that team next year, just because, like, when I watch him, he looks like super comfortable on the bike. I think it gives him the best opportunity even next year to do his best. And kind of like you're saying, like changing manufacturers, and what does that look like? And is it going to be to the par of where his bike is now? I mean, there's some great guys over there at Red Bull KTM, guys that you've worked alongside, guys that I've worked with. And it's not it's no disrespect to them, but I just can't see Eli being as good on that bike. And listen, he could prove us wrong, but he just looks so happy there. So I'm kind of bummed that he's leaving the team, dude.
Yep, it's a big chunk to bite off with in the stage of his career currently.
Yeah, I'm bummed. I'm bummed about it, but oh well. Still a massive fan. Quad lot question of the week. This is a good one. Hot topic. You already talked about it a little bit, but our winner this week is Cody Nash 24. Congratulations, Cody Nash 24. You are the winner of this week's quad lot question of the week. All right, RV, I'm putting you on the hot seat because I tweeted mine out, or X mine out, last night. Who are your number one picks to replace Deegan and Sexton if they can't represent USA at MXoN?
Well, I think we'll just jump straight to the 450 or open class. I think that RJ Hampshire would be a good pick.
Yep.
RJ, I think, has solidified himself as a front runner, top fiver pretty much every weekend so far. Consistency's there. It is on home soil, so I think RJ for unless open. I'm missing there. I know there's more out there for sure, but from what I've seen, RJ would be a good pick. And I actually like Seth also, but I think he's going in to get his shoulder worked on.
He's getting his shoulder worked on.
So that's what I had picked this morning when me and Kyle were talking, but then that popped into my head too. So, lights guys, who would I pick for a light or 250?
I'd pick Justin Cooper.
Oh, put him down.
Yeah. I'd put Justin Cooper down. Like, remember when we were at, Red Bud?
Yep.
I would 100%. RJ would have been my first call, like you said, for the 450 open class. Put him on there, dude. He was consistent as he needed to be. He did fantastic. That was an epic story this year in Pro Motocross. He did a hell of a job in SMX. I think he's been unbelievable on that 450. So you put him on there like you do, and you put Justin Cooper down on the 250, and you let him be the hero like he was at Redbud. That's what I say you do.
I like that move. I like that. I agree, RC. I think moving Justin Cooper down, because the whole goal of this thing is agreeing or not agreeing or this or that, is to give Team USA their best chance at winning Motocross of Nations, especially on home soil. And obviously with Haiden breaking his collarbone and with Chase going down, we have to improvise. And I think that would be a solid, strong team going into MXoN in about a week and a half. You know, I think that we have a shot, and we still have a shot. It's going to be a little bit harder now, I think. Let's be honest. It will be a little bit harder because two of our best guys are out. But that doesn't mean we can't win, because like Dazzy had said, you need a little bit of lady luck on your side. It's that 15 to 20% of lady luck at MXoN.
That's
and
right.
The rest comes down to the riders.
100%. And there have been times where we have won with not the best lineup. And you know what? I have hope still. I hope that's the route that they go. I hope they go RJ, and I hope they go J Coop. Like you said, Hammaker would be a viable option, but I think big picture for his career, looking down the road, as much as you love MXoN, as much as I love that race, and if we were team managing, I would love to have him on there, but I think long term, it's better for him to get his shoulder fixed. That's more important than just one race. He'll have his opportunity to be on this race team at some point and represent his company or his country. So anyhow, that's it. Cody, congratulations on the quad lock question of the week. You did fantastic. That's a fantastic question. So we appreciate the support as well. I'm sure JH has already reached out to you. I know you'll be stoked on the quad lock merch. It is insane. And that's it, dude. I got a week off. It's going to be kind of nice. I'm going to play some golf, ride my bicycle. What you got cracking before I see you in Indiana?
Well, boy's birthday, actually, we had the boy's birthday this weekend. That's why I wasn't in Vegas. And actually today is their actual birthday. Well, so they're 9 today.
Nice.
Yeah, just kind of cruising, man. Just doing our thing. Obviously riding with the boys, or the boys are riding. And then I'm off to MXoN on Tuesday, actually. So I'll be there early for the Yamaha Blue Crew Super Finale. 865, 85, 125. We have a bunch of Americans, also a bunch of Europeans coming over to race that. I'm looking forward to MXoN. You know, it's a very special race. And we've talked about it a lot. I know we blow a lot of smoke about it, but it's a legitimate, very, very, very fun, atmospheric, and, you know, to go support your country, and also to get to see the Europeans ride. Right, Roman Feber won his MXGP championship this weekend. I think they locked it up in Australia.
That's right.
It had been 10 years since he had won his first MXGP championship. Actually, that was 15 when I was there. He won on a Yamaha. And it's been 10 years since he won one. So congrats to Roman. But yeah, it's gonna be good. You're gonna go there, hang out like RC, get to see a bunch of old friends, European friends, good food. You know, so it's a lot of fun.
That's right. Can't wait to see you there. Happy birthday to Braxton Gage. Dedicate this show to them for their 9th birthday, dude. Time flies. I can't believe.
I know, crazy, right?
That's great. That's great. Again, congratulations to Joe Shimoda and his first SMX World Championship. Hell of a job, Joe. You answered the bell. You got it done. You had an incredible Pro Motocross Championship. You could see that the momentum was there, and you rose up, and I just loved it. I loved how you attacked it this week, dude. You didn't roll over, not once. Hell of a job. And, of course, Jett Lawrence, congratulations, mate, on your 3-peat SMX World Championship. No surprise, but you're a bad dude, so congratulations. Thanks to all of our partners, Boxo, Quadlock, Dunlop, United Motorsports, Cardo. Remember, we're on all the podcast applications. You can watch us on Motorsports NBC's YouTube page, and we are on demand on Peacock. I'm sure we'll probably have a little wrap-up show from MXoN, but we're going to take this next Monday off, and then start building for some stuff. Maybe have some guests on in the off season, but nevertheless, it's been fun. RV, and
Always.
and I'll see you at Ironman. We'll have a good time.
All right.
All right,
Loved
everybody.
it.
Thanks for the support, and thanks,
Yep,
Dazzy.
thank you guys. Yep.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports. If you enjoyed what you just watched, well, it's time to bring the action and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. You can have it all: news, highlights, interviews, and analysis. So go for it.